Welcome to today's video. We're going to build on the themes of the previous two videos, and we're actually going to take the learnings we did from video 1 and 2 and combine them, build on that, and do this part 3. In part 1 was all about obtaining the crypto prices from different methods. Part 2 was about doing a few other tips and tricks within Excel, refreshing pivot tables, updating a last updated timestamp, for example. And now what I want to show you is if you've got an Excel sheet with crypto prices, and I'm just using that as an example, it could be any data. How do you put that into a Word document ready to email to someone? Stay tuned and I'll show you how. Let's just recap, we're extracting the data from the website prices. We're putting them into an Excel in the pivot sheet. We're clearing the table first, writing the data in, and we're formatting the cells. That was one of the tips from the 5 tips video. We're then also refreshing the pivot, and I'll show you why, because in the pivot table, this is providing a summary of the value of each of the different coins we have along with the total of our portfolio. As the data changes in the first spreadsheet with the latest prices, this data will change, and just like you would expect, this needs to be refreshed regularly, and this will be one of the key steps in our automation, is to do that pivot refresh automatically, which will in turn update this little graph, which we're going to use later. The other thing, and this was something mentioned in my tutorial video with 5 tips, is I write the timestamp. So going back to my Excel sheet now, I will update this to say when was this sheet last updated automatically, and we're pulling that value from the project notebook. So let's look at the next piece. And now what I was wanting to do next was actually get this data into a usable format. So I want to put it in a Word document. Here is a template Word document I've called it Crypto Summary. In here I want to include a summary of the portfolio as a table, and I want to include that graph I showed you. So the next thing I'm going to do is copy and paste the data in for the first bit. It's the easiest way to do that. And the way that works is you literally just use a formula called, or an activity called copy range. There's 2 things to set. One is the value that you want to copy in the first place. So in my sheet, I defined a range called output. You can always indicate it in Excel directly by dragging it within Excel. I defined it as a range. And then you explain where you want it to go. So in this case, I wanted it to store on the clipboard, and I just wanted the values extracted. I wasn't interested in the formulas in this case. I just wanted it to extract the values. I wanted to include headers. I didn't want to transpose the data, so I kept that as is. And then it's as simple as this. You drag in your use Word file, you point to the file that I mentioned, I tell it to paste into the document at the end, and watch option. I'm using this activity here called paste chart into document. So I'm going to paste that in, and you can use it for a document as well. And then also I am going to then just save it for now. Let's run that and see what that looks like. Opening the web page. Well, that's rude. Open the web page, extract the data, put the data into our spreadsheet, get the timestamp there, refresh the pivot as well, etc. And it will also now open Word and paste this data into Word. So this is looking good. You can see now in my report I've got the title, and I've now got this data pasted in as a picture. You can of course paste it in as a linked data or as a table. I've chosen to do a picture just for this demo. Now I want it to add the graph afterwards. Let me show you how we do that, and you will find something called Get Excel Chart. Pretty handy. Does exactly what it says on the tin. So I'm going to pull that into an earlier stage in my workflow. So I'm going to say after you've refreshed the pivot table, you can literally do this now. So all right, here we go, summary. So in here you'll see in the summary sheet we've got chart 2. That's the only chart available. That's the one we want. What do we want to do this now? Because one option is to copy it to the clipboard and paste it in, but I'm already copying some data further down. So another way of doing this is to actually save it as a picture. So then it will tell you where to save it. Now this is, I think, the easiest way I would say here is to use an example file or a dummy file with the file name you want. It just makes things easier. So if I go to my desktop, there is one that I've used earlier called summary chart. So I'm just going to say this is the file I want you to replace effectively. And then I am going to pull in the insert picture, which is add a picture. Here it is. We'll do that just before we save it. So this, we're going to scroll, and again I've got a pre-existing dummy picture. It makes it easier for you to just click it rather than having to type in an expression for the name. Save that as you have it there. So what this will now do then is it'll also add a screen, a picture in there before saving the document. So let's give it a run. All right, so what you will see. So the bot is opening up the prices. It is scraping that data in terms of latest prices, punching that into the Excel tab into latest prices. It's then going into the summary, refreshing the pivots, updating the timestamp, and now it's going to open Microsoft Word, open that template document we had, and put in the 2 bits of data that we wanted. So there you have it. Now we've got a nice summary that says crypto summary. You've got when the data was extracted, and then you've also got a chart showing a summary of your flow. What if we wanted to do something else with this? What if I now wanted to email this to somebody? So let's try and bring that in as well. So I can tell it to use my desktop Outlook app. Drag that in here. I can even do it outside this because the file's already generated, and I can just say, yeah, so I can just say send email. And in the email you would say what account to use, who to send it to, and you would just then also select the file, any file you want to include as an attachment. So I can now go to my desktop, which is where I was saving this. Obviously you can put it anywhere else. Choose the file, put a subject in here, Bitcoin prices for example, which you can just type in as text. Choose who you want to send it to, etc., and CC it. Now another thing worth mentioning as well is one option by default. What it will do is it will just create an email using Outlook. Now I chose to do that. I could use a Gmail account. I could do it directly via the server through Office 365 integration. So looking at my email now, I have this email. I now have this email in my inbox. Now obviously I didn't write a message body. I could have done. If we open up the document, we shall see it's got the latest summary, etc., update, and all of that was refreshed automatically with the latest prices and sent automatically. Hope you found this useful, and I'll see you on the next video.